In April of 1996, Chicago Transit Authority's maintenance crew reactivated a dormant tunnel beneath the city, a sealed line known only as Track E. It hadn't been used in over 60 years. The plan was to run a single test train through it. It entered the tunnel at exactly 4:03 a.m., and it came back 5 minutes later. But it wasn't the same train. The crew inside had aged, decades older. The metal had corroded, the lights had melted, and the men on board, they wouldn't stop screaming. I worked for the Chicago Transit Authority's Underground Maintenance Division from 1991 to 2003. Most of it was routine: rats, leaks, dead voltage meters. But there's one night I can't forget. April 6, 1996. That was the night they reopened Track E. Most folks have never heard of it. Even lifers in the CTA don't know it exists. Track E was a disused spur line beneath the western end of the Red Line, originally built in the 1930s. It was sealed in '39 after a construction collapse killed 3 workers. The official story? Structural instability. Unofficially, people said the tunnel went somewhere it shouldn't. I thought it was all union campfire talk, until they asked me to prep the line for a one-time trial run. No passengers, just a short crew and 1 test train. I was assigned to the signal station that night, overseeing track switching and radio checks. My booth sat a quarter mile above Track E's mouth, with a full monitor feed. At 4:03 a.m., train 1713 entered the tunnel. Standard loopback run, scheduled to re-emerge at the eastern junction in 5 minutes. We watched it disappear into black and waited. 4 minutes passed, then 5. Nothing. The comms operator tried to radio the crew. No answer. No video feed either. Just static where the onboard camera should have been. Then at 4:08, a strange signal pinged the mainframe. It wasn't one of ours. It came from inside the tunnel. Before we could trace it, train 1713 rolled out of the eastern junction. But something was wrong. The headlights flickered like dying halogens. The chassis was scorched, warped in places. Panels were rusted through, like the train had sat in salt water for decades. And the crew. The first man they pulled out was assistant engineer Rob Pulaski. He was 33 when he entered the tunnel. He came out looking 70. Hair white, skin sagging, nails blackened, like he'd clawed his way through something. He screamed nonstop until medics sedated him. The others were in similar condition, visibly aged, wild-eyed, babbling in confused bursts. One tech kept muttering the same phrase. The loop takes what it's owed. When the medics removed their uniforms, we saw something even stranger. All the crew had matching burn patterns across their backs, like they'd been pressed against overheated metal. But no part of the train interior registered that kind of temperature spike. Not according to the sensors anyway. The incident was locked down immediately, all footage confiscated, the tunnel resealed. We were told to keep quiet. Just a test. Gone wrong. Electrical fire, they said. But that's not what I saw. A month later, I requested to review the signal logs from that night. Someone had scrubbed them. But I found one backup line entry that hadn't been deleted. It was a single time-stamped message. Train crossed itself. Ferryman paid. I couldn't let it go. After that night, the CTA buried the entire event like it never happened. No internal memos, no medical records, not even a disciplinary report. They reassigned every crew member who witnessed it, including me, to surface detail. But something wasn't right. That train didn't just malfunction. It came back wrong. And every time I closed my eyes, I kept seeing that aged, melted steel dragging itself out of the dark, like it had traveled through more than just tunnel. 2 weeks later, I used an old access key to sneak into signal control archives. I needed to know where train 1713 really went. The trip logs should have shown a 5-minute traversal from point A to point B, but instead, the timestamp showed this. Departure, 4:03 a.m. Arrival, 4:08 a.m. Total duration, 4 hours, 57 minutes. I blinked. That couldn't be. The train visibly returned in 5 minutes, but the system claimed it was inside for nearly 5 hours. What the hell happened in that time? That's when I noticed something else. A second train ID was listed for the same window, same route, overlapping timestamps. But the ID was decades out of use, a rusted model from the 1940s, decommissioned long before I was born. Its manifest simply read, Train number 941, Ferry Run, Track E, March 2nd, 1941. Status, lost in transit. And then it hit me. Train 1713 didn't just go through the tunnel. It crossed paths with another train, one that hadn't existed in over 50 years. I dug deeper. The original train 941 had been lost during wartime. Its disappearance blamed on a tunnel collapse, but the reports were vague. No remains ever found. Just a single telegram from a station operator who claimed the train entered the tunnel and never came out. I managed to locate a surviving photo of the old 941 crew. And that's when my stomach turned. Because standing at the edge of that sepia photo was a man with a distinct scar over his right eye. The same scar I saw on the 1996 crewman, Rob Pulaski. Same face, same building. Except this photo was from 1941. What was Pulaski doing in a photo from over 50 years before he was born? I didn't have answers, but I had one lead left, an address scribbled on a post-it buried in the signal archive drawer. It was written in old conductor shorthand, probably missed in the initial cover-up. It read, Junction 0, Ferryman's Cabin, 1 mile east of the loop. Only opens when the line overlaps. Bring exact change. I took that note and walked out. 2 nights later, I returned to Track E alone. Flashlight, old rail map, and a deep sense of dread. Because something was calling from under the city, and I was going to follow the tracks to where time had folded in on itself. I made the walk down into Track E 2 nights after finding that note. They hadn't welded the seal yet, just chained it. 1 bolt cutter later, I was inside. No flashlight felt strong enough down there. The air was wet and hot, like a furnace had been running somewhere deep underground. My boots echoed against the steel, but the tunnel didn't echo back. About a mile in, the main line curved sharply. That wasn't on any CTA map. And just like the note said, there was a break in the tunnel, a narrow side path, unlit, ancient brickwork, and a faint yellow glow at the end of it. That's where I found it. The ferryman's cabin. Not a cabin, really. More like an old trackmaster's booth, built right into the wall. The glass was smeared brown, the door swollen with humidity. Inside, a single desk, a rusted ticket puncher, and a leather-bound logbook. The pages inside weren't dated normally. No months, no years, just times. Some entries read 403 to 408. Others were reversed. 408, 403. Some weren't times at all, just numbers like 941 and 1713, written over and over. The last page was blank, except for a single phrase in red ink. The loop opens only when a debt is due. Suddenly, I heard a sound behind me. Not footsteps, not wind, a train whistle, faint, distant, too distant. Then the light in the booth flickered. Not off, just out of phase. Like the world blinked and forgot how to come back. When I stepped out, the tunnel was gone. Not empty. Gone. The concrete walls had been replaced by something much older. Brick arches, soot-stained ceilings, rusted signs written in transit codes I didn't recognize. But I wasn't alone. There were others now. Silhouettes standing on the opposite platform. Some in modern uniforms, others dressed like soldiers from a century ago. All of them staring ahead, not moving, not blinking, just waiting. Then I saw the train coming. It wasn't 1713, and it wasn't 941. This one didn't have a number at all. The engine lights looked like open eyes. The metal was scorched black, groaning like it had pulled the weight of too many years. It didn't stop. As it passed, I saw faces in the windows. Some I recognized. The men from the 1996 crew, the conductor from the 1941 photo, even Pulaski, staring right at me. Not older, not younger, just outside time. In his hand was the logbook, and across the window, in fogged breath, someone had written, "You followed the line, now you're on it." The train vanished into the dark. The light returned. The tunnel was back. But the time on my watch was wrong. 5 hours had passed. Just like before, I reported none of it. I quit the CTA a week later. Sometimes I still hear the whistle deep under the city. And every now and then, when I check the station logs from home, I see a phantom ping on track E. It always says the same thing. In transit, payment pending. What you heard tonight, it's just one of many. Subscribe to Hauntica for stories that shouldn't exist.